It's not exactly a secret that Cassandra Clare is a Harry Potter fan. Much of her writing, especially those portions which include magic, are reminiscent of the wizarding world, and there are several pieces of evidence which point to the author being a Potterhead. First of all, there's Cassandra's Draco trilogy. Though the author would rather forget her foray into fanfiction, like most writers, the series was nevertheless enjoyed by readers, earning praise of its own. The series even influenced Harry Potter fanfiction to come, popularizing the idea of exploring the hidden psyche of the bullying Malfoy. On a more official level, Cassandra Clare also teamed up with Holly Black to pen the Magisterium series, a set of novels which follows a boy as he, you guessed it, attends a magical school. Each book follows a year of the boy's life, and initially he's discouraged from studying magic by his family. Sound familiar? Finally, there are references to Harry Potter itself within the Shadowhunters series, with two Downworlders being overheard as they argue over which Harry Potter characters would win in a fight. It's just a comedic moment, but one which hints at the author's passion for the wizarding world. Of course, the world of the Shadowhunters speaks for itself. By studying its magic, its characters, and plots, it's easy to see Harry Potter's influences. There are several elements which, while altered slightly, are ripped from Harry Potter, and in this video I aim to lay them out. Before we continue, I'm Riley and this is Otherworldly Fiction. On this channel, I rant about fantasy books, discuss characters and lore, share my bookish opinion, and offer the occasional writing advice. If any of that sounds like your cup of butter beer, hit that subscribe button. Posts are on Fridays. As a disclaimer, this video includes spoilers for the Shadowhunter books. You have been warned. In analyzing the world Cassandra Clare has built, one can find at least 6 elements the Potterhead turned author has taken from Harry Potter and included in her own work. Number 1. Ghost characters. Like the wizarding world, the world of the Shadowhunters and the Downworlders is rife with ghostly characters. Though there are some differences between Rowling and Clare's ghosts, they are remarkably similar. First, both have unfinished business. Second, they can't be seen by everyone. Third, they usually play minor roles within their respective series, becoming known entities by the living who surround them. Cassandra's world features plenty of memorable ghost characters. More often than not, they simply appear to offer commentary or sell magical items. But in her later books, they play a greater role. For example, the storyline in which Ty attempts to resurrect his sister reflects the themes explored in the Deathly Hallows. The Resurrection Stone can return wizards to the living world, but they will be no more than spirits, and will become miserable in the long run because they no longer belong with the living. Harry does use the stone, allowing him to see Sirius, Lupin, and his parents, but he ultimately drops the stone and lets them go, proving he has accepted death. Unfortunately, Ty makes the opposite decision. In attempting to bring his sister to life, he hopes, like those who wield the Resurrection Stone, to have her back completely. Instead, also like those who use the stone, he isn't able to bring more than a spirit to his side. Though he succeeded, the implications, based on the warnings he's been given against necromancy, aren't good for Livy. Furthermore, Cassandra Clare's latest series, The Last Hours, features a ghost, Jessie, in a leading role. As with Ty and Livy, Jessie's family refuses to accept his death, and through taboo magic, they keep him trapped among the living as a ghost few can see. If that wasn't enough, the Dark Artifices also concerns itself with resurrection. The antagonist's entire motives are based on bringing his beloved back from the dead, to unfortunate results. The themes of grief, loss, and death carry over from the Potter series, making the continual presence of ghosts as natural to Clare's world as they are to that of Harry Potter. Number 2. Muggles versus mundanes. If one chooses to read the Shadowhunter books, one should essentially treat mundanes as Muggles. Even the terms sound similar, and both refer to the same thing: those people who are decidedly not magical, and who must be kept ignorant of the existence of the supernatural world which surrounds them. Like Muggles, mundanes can't see that which Shadowhunters or Downworlders can. Instead, they are blind to shop fronts, spells, ghosts, and so on. However, when someone can see the magical world, it is called the sight in Clare's world. Moreover, many so-called mundanes discover they aren't mundanes at all, when their ability to see the paranormal leads to them discovering the truth. Even the way magical beings treat mundanes is similar to how some wizards treat muggles. Many Shadowhunters see mundanes as weak and ignorant. Mundanes are forbidden to know about their world, and it is frowned upon if a Shadowhunter befriends or falls in love with a mundane. While there are occasional instances where mundanes can be turned into Shadowhunters, thereby allowing couples to remain together, this is rare. More often, Shadowhunters must elope with any mundane partners, but if they're caught, their powers will be stripped from them in a painful ritual, and they will be outcasts from the families and world they know. In the Harry Potter universe, wizards and witches won't lose their powers. However, they might as well lose them. Minerva McGonagall's mother, a talented witch, had to hide her abilities in order to marry a Muggle husband. Concealing her wand and giving up her place in the wizarding world, she lived as a Muggle. Minerva faced the same decision when she fell in love with a Muggle herself. Unlike her mother, though, Minerva chose to remain a witch, enduring heartbreak instead after turning her prospective lover down. The McGonagalls were the lucky ones too, as unions between wizards and Muggles were forbidden during earlier times. As such, the relationship the Shadowhunters share with mundanes reflects that which wizards have with Muggles, recalling similar themes of prejudice and sacrifice. Element number 3. The ignorant protagonist raised among humans. Though it's not the case with the heroes in Clare's later books, her earlier protagonists, Clary and Tessa, didn't know their origins. Instead, they assumed they were as ordinary as anybody else. Likewise, Kit, raised by Rook, never knew he was a Shadowhunter until told he was. The journeys of these characters, and learning they are not mundanes, but supernatural beings themselves, reflects that which Harry Potter takes. Both Harry and Clary witness strange things they can't explain, but their families choose to keep them ignorant of their origins. Unfortunately for their respective guardians, hiding that someone is magical becomes impossible. While Clary is introduced to the world and the truth regarding her legacy by Jace and his crew, Harry learns he is a wizard from Hagrid. Initially, Harry and Clary struggle to accept what they are, only to become some of the most talented among their kind, displaying abilities which are uncommon even among their ilk. Tessa is also, after being raised as an ordinary girl, thrust abruptly into the supernatural, learning like Harry did that she has magic. As an aside, Clary even looks like a Harry Potter character. With her red hair and green eyes, she could be related to Lily Potter, which is interesting because her journey is also similar to Lily's. After all, Lily, like Harry, didn't know she was a witch. Raised among Muggles because of her status as a Muggle-born, she wasn't made aware of what she was until the Hogwarts letter arrived. Number 4. The Institute turned home. Shadowhunters have chapters unique to their ilk, institutes which are spread throughout the world. Though none are as large as Hogwarts, they comprise a great force collectively, and several of them are quite grand. also acting as bases of operation, the institutes, like Hogwarts, also function as schools. Just as Hogwarts takes in all wizards, regardless of their backgrounds or whether they're orphans or not, so do the institutes take in Shadowhunters. Several of the Shadowhunters who are taken in are orphans. Given their own beds, regular meals, and training, their experiences aren't dissimilar to those of orphaned Hogwarts students like Harry or Voldemort. In creating the institutes, giving them their personalities, and even a few ghost residents unique to their halls, Cassandra Clare was likely inspired by Hogwarts when she did so. Students learn to live together like family, sharing meals and deep bonds, and despite the dangers they face, they're expected to attend lessons and look to their mentors for guidance. Having written the Magisterium series, the idea of a school, or school-like environment, which takes in those children exhibiting supernatural abilities, obviously appealed to Clare, and the institutes Shadowhunter children call home reflect this interest. Number 5. Magical beings versus Downworlders. If the relationship wizards share with Muggles is reflected in that which the Shadowhunters have with mundanes, then so too are their attitudes towards other supernatural beings. Like wizards, Shadowhunters are kind of, crappy towards other magical peoples. Until those books which take place during modern times, relationships between Shadowhunters and warlocks, for example, were forbidden. In fact, during the Dark Artifices, even friendships between Shadowhunters and the Fae are outright forbidden. This makes life difficult for several of the characters. The prejudice shown by the Shadowhunters is what motivates the antagonist of the first Dark Artifices in the first place, as his lover, a Shadowhunter, is killed for falling in love and attempting to live with a warlock. Other characters who must navigate these stigmas include Alec and Magnus, Mark and Kieran, and others still. Tensions are great between Shadowhunters and Downworlders, especially when Shadowhunters have all the voting rights and positions within the government. This dynamic, of course, reflects that which is shown in Harry Potter. The Ministry of Magic is run solely by wizards. No house elves or goblins are seen as employees within the ministry, and goblins are actually forbidden from carrying wands. All laws and regulations are laid out by wizards, with little room for other magical beings to protest, and many wizards look down on them. A statue within the ministry's main hall says it all. The other beings, a house elf, a goblin, and a centaur, are shown looking up to the wizards with hapless admiration. As for the wizard and witch, they are shown as the undisputed rulers of the magical world. Wizards decide if house elves can be free or not, treating them as slaves. They parcel out land to the centaurs, restricting their territory to suit wizards, and they force goblins to follow their rules, allowing them only partial autonomy. Umbridge is among the worst, proposing they tag merpeople, prevent werewolves from working, and monitor so-called half-breeds like Hagrid or the centaurs. The attitudes of Umbridge, the Malfoys, or any other Death Eaters are reflected by the likes of Zara Dearborn or Aloysius Starkweather, who see warlocks and other Downworlders as lesser than themselves. While the former is a modern bigot who would see any rights Downworlders have gained stripped from them, the latter actually enjoyed collecting the severed pieces of his warlock victims as trophies in a forbidden act known as taking spoils. Therefore, the Downworlders, warlocks, vampires, werewolves, and fairies are stand-ins for Harry Potter's magical beings, centaurs, merpeople, goblins, giants, and house elves. While those like Alec campaign for warlocks to have more rights, Hermione begins her Spew campaign on behalf of house elves. Later, on becoming Minister for Magic, Hermione also fights for other magical beings. improving their rights and welfare however she can. In this way, Cassandra Clare tackles the same themes of prejudice by using magical beings to represent marginalized groups. Her creation of the Downworlders shows how inspired she was by the relationship those like Dobby or Hagrid had with wizards. After all, she even had her own half-breed characters. Like Hagrid, Mark, being half Shadowhunter and half Fae, was allowed to join the ranks of the Shadowhunters. However, also like Hagrid, he still faced stigma for his background, a prejudice which would even lead to him facing harsher punishments than others. No one bothered to rescue him from the wild hunt, and his sister Helen was exiled, forbidden from leaving the island where she worked. As for Hagrid, he was expelled for a crime he didn't commit. A half-giant, he was an easy fall guy. Even as an adult, he was attacked by the likes of Rita Skeeter, his heritage open to the cruel criticisms of the world. Element number 6, the magic. The magic within Cassandra Clare's world functions similarly to the magic within the Harry Potter world. Though Shadowhunters don't cast spells, the runes they draw on themselves confer magical effects. As for warlocks, they do cast spells, and there are special objects which exhibit similar effects to artifacts seen in Harry Potter. First, there are glamours. Glamours exist for one purpose: to hide the truth from mundanes, or those who otherwise lack the sight. This includes buildings, such as Downworlder bars, which might be made to resemble abandoned buildings to the mundanes. This act of hiding places in plain sight is taken straight from Harry Potter, with the Wizarding World's leaky cauldron being one of the most prominent examples. Muggles can't see it. Signs which are clear to wizards will not appear for them, and this is but one example. If a Muggle stumbles across Hogwarts, they'll see only ruins. If they visit Godric's Hollow, the statue they'll see in the main square won't be that of Lillian James, but rather some Muggle man. Another piece of magic encountered in both series is that of storing memories. Like wizards, Shadowhunters have objects which allow them to store and then watch memories from the past, a mechanism obviously inspired by the Wizarding World's Pensieve. Moreover, Shadowhunters have methods of forcing the truth out of people. While Harry Potter wizards use Veritas Serum, the Shadowhunters have access to the Mortal Sword. While exposed to either the potion or the sword, those being questioned can't lie. However, neither Veritas Serum or the Mortal Sword are considered foolproof, making them only a part of any criminal justice cases. Finally, there's the Sight, an ability which sets the magical and non-magical peoples apart. Muggles and mundanes are blind to the supernatural world which surrounds them. Wizards and centaurs, or Shadowhunters and warlocks, however, can see everything with perfect clarity, setting them apart from their ordinary counterparts. Though Harry Potter doesn't have a term for its equivalent of the Sight, the ability functions in much the same way. Rowling even goes into further detail, noting that squibs, the non-magical offspring of wizards, still retain their powers of seeing when they inherit nothing else. However, if a squib has children with a muggle, this ability will be lost, unless a muggle-born is later born within the line. In conclusion, by simply parsing through the worlds Cassandra Clare created, it's easy to see the influence Harry Potter had on her work. Moreover, in knowing her past, whether it be her work on the Draco trilogy or the Magisterium series, the inspiration Clare took from Harry Potter isn't surprising. Furthermore, the influence hasn't been a bad one either. In taking these 6 elements, Cassandra Clare still created an engaging and original world. Even some of her characters are reminiscent of Harry Potter. All those haughty blonde Herondales easily remind the reader of Malfoy. Her use of such popular traits also paid off for her series. as the books managed to sell millions of copies. Unfortunately for Clare, 2 attempts at film, a movie and a TV series respectively, flopped, preventing the author from gaining the same exposure via the big screen or marathons. For those of us who love both Harry Potter and the Shadowhunters, we can only cross our fingers that a 3rd attempt will be made down the road. By taking inspiration from Harry Potter, Cassandra Clare created a series which was huge in its own right, and which continues to draw in dedicated fans. Are there any other aspects of the Shadowhunter books which reminded you of Harry Potter? Can you think of other writers who obviously borrowed from the wizarding world? Would you want to create a world inspired by that of Rowling's? Sound off in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and happy reading.